Hi, my name is Jeremy. My mother first started taking me to the doctors when I was 10 years old. I had terrible headaches and pains in my legs, and that happened all the time. The doctor told my mother that she would have to change my diet to cure the irritable bowel syndrome. Oh, and just give him more water to drink for his headaches. Don't worry about the leg pains. They'll disappear when he stops growing. Stops growing? That's years, I thought. At 20, I still had headaches and leg pains. It was spring and I was still very tired. My skin itched, I had night sweats that were very smelly, and my eyesight was blurred. I couldn't even think straight. Then disaster struck my stomach. My mother rushed me to the hospital, and after an appendectomy, I overheard the specialist say, just in time, it was on the verge of bursting. Still, I had leg pains and I begged my mother to rub them. She kept muttering about the fact that most young men stop growing at the age of 18. This brought on a terrible headache. The doctor looked at my chart. High blood pressure at your age. Here's a prescription. My poor mother passed away when I was 27. She took care of my headaches and rubbed my legs to the very end. At 28, I married Janie. I remember a very cold winter. I started to get depressed and tired. My cholesterol and blood pressure shot up, and I was so distressed that I was hospitalized for observation. The neurologist studied my EEG. Oh, you have abnormal waves in your left temporal lobe. This is a form of epilepsy called petit mal, he said. I'll give you a prescription for Topamax and Epilim. These medications will make you feel great. The endocrinologist gave his diagnosis. Oh, he has Hashimoto disease. We need to remove his thyroid as soon as possible. I emerged from the anesthetic with the same severe headaches and aching legs. I was physically exhausted. Be glad, said my endocrinologist. There's no cancer anyway. Not yet. Take magnesium tablets and these new painkillers for your headaches. Take 2-3 times a day and this should cure you. It was spring again, my worst season. Janie had left me last spring. I was 34 and in my second marriage to Mary, a trained nurse I'd met on one of my many visits to hospital. I had the usual aches and pains, but this spring I got hit with gastric ulcers. The gastroenterologist decided not to wait. The last thing I heard was my surgeon saying, 1 hour late again? Let's hurry, he said, swallowing a dried cold piece of toasted sandwich. He never got his coffee this morning. I woke up with a headache, aching legs, and a numb stomach. I had another episode of depression. Mary pleaded with the psychiatrist to add to my antidepressant medication. I turned into a zombie. At 39, I felt like a very old man. Let me list my ailments for you. Generalized abdominal pain, forever tired, memory loss, nausea, vomiting, aching legs, ongoing headaches, and huge amounts of pain. What's more, I'd put on a lot of weight. In addition to my pain tablets, I had sleeping tablets, thyroid hormones, and testosterone medication, but nothing really seemed to help. Let's take out the gallbladder, said one specialist. The wound had turned septic. A second and third intervention was necessary before I was discharged. Mary disappeared after the second intervention, so I took a taxi home. That's life, mate, was the taxi driver's conclusion to all of this. By then, it was October, and I was feeling terrible. I seriously considered self-medication. Suicide. At 45, I woke up one morning with acute chest pains and my left arm started aching. Mary called an ambulance for me. I've left the front door open for them, said Mary. I'm late for my origami class. Bye. Your ECG showed Q waves. In other words, infarctus of the myocardium. But don't worry, we put stents into your heart and everything is fine. You're lucky. No triple bypass needed. I had a party for my 50th birthday. I realized that I was trembling and shaking. The cup and cake nearly went flying. Oh, for goodness sake, Jeremy, said Mary. What now? You have the early stages of Parkinson's, said my neurologist. We have first-rate treatment for this condition. Was I a hypochondriac? I asked myself. Definitely not, I concluded. All these pills and still no change. 33 pill bottles. Good heavens, I can't believe it. I died. Well, I never. Anyway, my problems are over, and Mary is left fighting about whether to bury me or cremate me. Was there ever actually a problem with me? Death came just before my scheduled prostatectomy. The plan was to put me on renal dialysis while my name was on a kidney transplant waiting list. Looking back now, they also missed the opportunity to give me a liver transplant and a heart transplant. No one picked up my weird platelets, my iron disorders, my autoimmune factors, the fatty acid deposits in my liver, the hyperintensities in my brain, the odd calcifications throughout my body that, according to the specialist in chronic infections such as ME, fibromyalgia, IBS, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, eczema, depression, MS, motor neuron disease, and ALS, are common ailments due to germs toxicity. If only I'd met him earlier. I need to get a message to the medical people down there. If only someone had bothered to check for multiple chronic infection. I was being attacked by a pack of wolves throughout my life, brought on by rats, lice, ticks, fleas, and dust, called Rickettsia, Brucella, Mycoplasma, Chlamydia, Q fever, Bilharzia, Toxoplasma, Bartonella, Helicobacter pylori, Borrelia or Lyme disease, and babesiosis. I could have been treated with a shower of combined antibiotics, bacteriostatics, and bactericidals, openers, and killers that would have suppressed the wolves. Instead, I was treated for fevers, aches and pains with supplements, pills, and more pills. Just think, my organs could have been revived and cleaned instead of removed. Oh well, at least my legs have stopped aching.